Call to order the October 18, 2019 Facilities and Special Committee meeting of the Board of Education of Hinsdale Township District 86. The meeting is being held in the Innovation Lab at Hinsdale South High School. The time is 7:30. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Are we at core now on special, or am I just calling facilities?
Just facilities, please.
Okay. Member Camden.
Present.
Member Cheval.
Excused.
Member Turek.
Here. Please stand and recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here on time. At this point, we ask you to look at your agendas, and we will move to any public comment. Have anybody sign in?
Yes.
Okay. Ms. Burke?
Yep.
Anybody else?
Nope.
Ms. Burke, pursuant to policy 1530, the board president has set the time for public comment at 3 minutes. You know the rest. Please.
I thought it was at the end of the meeting. Darn.
We'll give you a chance at that too.
Okay, but I know all about the 3 minutes. I'm normally very good at that. I always strategically run overtime, as some in present company are aware. This is, and I won't even go into non-facility concerns, because I know you guys are busy, have a lot to do today. But an article on public funding of the pools, private fundraising, the private fundraising for the Hinsdale Central Pool has just appeared in the Hinsdalean. And I'm really concerned that the words were not in there that both pools are one district assets. Community swims will be all district. There will be many times when a 10-lane pool can host a meet hosted by Hinsdale South. Because remember, we are one district. Morally, it's a no-brainer, where everybody pays taxes for everything. Strategically, it's also a no-brainer. Division within this district almost cost us the referendum. And the argument is made, well, a one-district concept will not persuade the most hardline referendum opponents. Yeah, and that's true. Okay, that's also a no-brainer. It won't persuade them. But there are many other moderate people who are open-minded, and they will respond very well to a one-district concept for this pool. It didn't come through in the Hinsdalean article. There are no open swims for Central Family Zone. You know, don't make me organize a swim-in, please. That would be worse than Halloween. In all the verbiage we give to the public and we give to the media, it has to be very clear that both pools will be one district assets as they're needed to be. Of course, it will serve Central on a daily curricular basis, and that will be wonderful. But the one district concept did not come through in the Hinsdalean article, and that concerns me. I don't know whether Pam Lemon didn't hear it or whether it wasn't said, but I think it needs to be proclaimed. And private funding carries a moral hazard, and we have to be very clear that you're raising funds for District 86, or it's just a bad idea. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Burke. Okay. We're forgetting the glasses. Let's see if there's around the agenda. For that, I apologize. And now we will back up to item 2.1, the commission engagement recommendation. Which is our Steve Murphy. Is that yours?
Yes,
Thank
that's
you.
fine. So, morning everyone. We want to save as much time as we can for the ARCON update on DD, so forgive me if I go through it quickly. But the commissioning authority, these are the bullet points that we're going to be talking about. Commissioning authority, contractor items will address energy, bid and phasing of bid packages, and then ARCON is going to give you a lot of information on the DD update, the design development update. So the commissioning authority recommendation. Commissioning, just for the little bit of background, it is code required now to do commissioning. The commissioning RFP that the district sent out includes pre-construction review, construction testing and verification, post-construction inventory. This is also going to include not just the referendum equipment, but the other existing in-place equipment, so that will assist the district long beyond the referendum doing their capital planning for major equipment replacement and preventive maintenance routines. 4 firms responded, 2 were shortlisted, and we had a unanimous committee recommendation to award to AMSCO Engineering. We've all had experience with AMSCO, good positive experience, and the key, they were all 4 were highly qualified. The key differentiators for AMSCO were, first of all, they are local. They're only 6 minutes away from here, so they have the flexibility to assist with any field observation that may be required with the design team, and they were very upfront about that during the interview. Another differentiator was their approach to the post-construction inventory. They will actually have a local printer do a QR code on all of your equipment, so you're going to be able to scan it. And if there is, if you have O&M manuals, if you have any information about that particular piece of equipment, it will be available based on scanning that QR code. And then finally, they were all highly qualified. They were the lowest cost, and the second lowest was about $50,000 higher. So it was a unanimous recommendation to AMSCO Engineering. So that will be brought in front of the board on Wednesday for final approval. So.
Have you worked with them before, or Pepper or Archon? Are you guys familiar with them?
So Cotter has, I haven't personally, but Cotter has, and Cottersville had.
We got it.
I just didn't want to go to the lowest bidder if people weren't familiar with it.
Yeah, one nice thing about AMSCO too is they're also a mechanical engineer, not just a commissioning agent. So they bring in other elements to the table. Well, yeah, some of the other.
And for a non-construction person, is this someone that's bonded, and if they make a mistake, is there recourse on them, or no?
They don't have to meet the usual performance and payment requirements that these guys do, but they do have full insurance and so forth, because they're not doing the design work, so they would not be expected to carry errors and omissions insurance like the design does.
Okay.
More of a third party.
Yeah, it's absolutely, they're a third-party consultant working on behalf of the owner. Yes.
Are you reviewing mechanical, electrical submittals?
Yep, they do that, exactly right.
And Jess is supportive of them?
Thank you, Marty.
Yeah.
Yes, I was in the committee process and sat in the interviews, and it was a good decision made by all.
And I'm glad you mentioned that also, that it was evaluated, the process, since it's an RFP, the process was evaluated by a committee, and there were representatives of Archon and MSA. I was their Pepper representative and district representative.
And again, if not construction, I'll do that kind of. Is that price based on hours? Is it?
It's a stipulated sum. Okay? So I'll move on. Again, we want to kind of go quickly through some of these. So Lance, I think you're up. Contractor items.
Oh.
I'm going to pull back so I'm not right in his way.
So the ComEd Energy Efficiency Program, we submitted that just shy of a month ago. It's 2 separate applications, one for Central, one for South. We've got recently we just got the DD drawings from Archon. We are in the process of marking those drawings up. We're going to submit them to ComEd this week. ComEd will review them and then get back to us with any questions. But we're already accepted into the program. Now the Nicor Energy Smart Program, we're in the process of reviewing the boilers at South to verify the energy efficiency for those boilers are qualified for the Nicor program. So that one's in the process right now.
Are these the new boilers?
Yes, okay. The new
I
boilers.
can't imagine the existing boilers.
There's no money left for that.
Will that court review domestic water use?
I think they would give you any major gas.
Yeah, I would say.
Yeah.
but the major rebid definitely. Question?
Okay. Looking at there. So I'm just going to spend a couple minutes talking about phasing. We kind of went through the high-level overview last time of the way that the projects are currently set up. This will sort of run through the presentation, I think, as well as far as the phase 1 versus the phase 2 project. So again, what we're calling phase 1 is really the summer of 2020 start work. The pool will obviously run beyond summer of 2020, but the lion's share of phase 1 work is the summer of 2021. So we're calling that phase 1. And really, the bid period 1 is the early bid package, we're calling it, that's going to advertise in November. This is some of the items that we really wanted to get out on the street to ensure that we're getting good competition from our bidders. Make sure the earlier we put it out there, before they get work on their schedule for 2020, so we're ensuring that we get good competition. So really, for Central and South, it's the turf replacements, the tennis courts, and then the roofing are some of the big infrastructure items. And then at South, we're going out early to bid for the air handling unit replacements at South, so that we can ensure that we're getting these units into fabrication as soon as we possibly can, to ensure that they come early in the summer of 2020, because we have really 10 air handling units, I think, to replace at South over the course of summer of 2020, so it's a lot to do for the steam to hot water conversion. So lately, maybe some of you are aware that air handling units are a challenge to get within the 8 to 10 weeks. They're running 12, sometimes 14, 16 weeks now to get. So again, we're getting that bid package out there early, and what we intend to do is have a furnish and install for those air handling units, so that that mechanical contractor is accountable for those air handling units. And then as part of the bid period 2, summer 2020 work, we'll have the rest of the mechanical work, so that'll be the piping package and the controls and everything that goes along with completing that entire mechanical package. So really that bid period 2 is the January, which is the majority or the balance of the 2020 work, and that will have the rest of the packages. They're just listing some of the disciplines of work, but again, that'll incorporate all the major projects, the pool, the library itself, the special ed itself, both building and grounds buildings, central and south. And again, they're going to go into a little more detail on what the scope of those projects are. But again, I just kind of wanted to give a little bit of an idea of what the phase 1 bid packages are going to look like. And then if we click to any questions on this while I'm here right now? Yes?
What about the boilers?
Boilers?
Yeah.
They'll be part of the bid period 2. Not as concerned with the lead time on the boilers, so they'll be part of the bid period 2. That major rest of the mechanical package.
One thing, we don't need boilers for the stars. We can be doing boiler work in the boiler room at the end of August and beginning of September before they switch over to heat. And boilers right now, I mean, in the last few years, we haven't had a problem with boilers. It's air handlers. Every school district in the country is looking for air handlers in June and July, basically. So, and it's really been a challenge for nailing those guys down. So that's why we want to get just on the air handlers.
So those boilers will be part of that. They'll have the piping package, the boilers, the controls for everything. So really that early package is just those air handling units to furnish and install those. And all those are indoor air handling units. So
It is a good question though, Bill, because honestly, we wanted the boilers in that first bid period, but we have to allow MSA time to design all the piping that's associated with those boilers. So when we release that package, it's the boilers and all the associated piping, so we time for the contract. So we wanted it, but there just wasn't enough time to pull it up in the bid period 1. We were lucky to get those air handlers. So.
Will there be some type of summary of the type of equipment that we're ordering and efficiency standpoint, both with like air handlers, I know we've been doing a lot of multi-fan staged air handlers for the efficiency aspect. Is there something that will be informed
Sure.
on that?
Sure. I mean, we'll be posting drawings to the specs to the pool as well to show.
Summary. Contract summary.
It'll be an entire air hanging schedule. We'll
I mean, the current energy codes right now are so strict that it's not like you can get away from it. You have to, everything has to be as energy efficient as possible. But that's a good question. We can surely forward you those guys.
One of the big tickets is a turf, but are there multiple suppliers for turf replacement?
So right now, we're planning on going through the co-op, the district, and all the other districts are tied to. So I think right now they've met with all the different turf manufacturers. They've had countless meetings over the last probably 2 months and moving forward with field turf through that co-op. So we're purchasing all 4 fields through field turf.
We actually sat down with them last week just, and we kind of ran through the schedule, where we are with things. I think the goal is to get that purchase order finalized before Thanksgiving, get the order placed and in fabrication, to hit the ground running. We're actually going to start in May with that work. We staggered the fields, and they were pretty comfortable with the 4 different fields over the course of the summer, and the school was happy with the turnover when they attended.
And athletics would be part of that. Again, most of that stuff is all this, like you guys know that, but
They have an end user meeting,
Right.
that
So-
was their last Friday.
So South was kind enough to let us take their practice field first. So that'll be the first one that starts in May. And then once they're done with practice field, we'll go to stadium field. But Central couldn't do that because they're hosting
Lacrosse.
lacrosse tournament. So they couldn't give it to us till June. But then again, they don't have their first home football game until the 3rd week in September. So we have a little longer on their stadium.
It's similar to air handler units. I learned that field turf is the exact same thing. Or whatever that material is, you run out of it and you're out of luck if you don't get your order in early and you just don't get a field.
We kind of want to be, they do
I learned this.
so many turf fields every year, and we're going to be on the front end of that, and we're coming in with 4 fields. It's a lot of fields, so we want to be kind of first in, best dressed on this.
Can, just for those that are new to this, can you give us an overview of what this co-op is and, or just going to sound like the one vendor? Sort of a proprietary field, and it's the only one that we can use?
So the co-op is set up, it's a state, the state of Illinois has approved this co-op for all public entities. It's kind of nationwide as well. So what happens is, at some point, all the vendors had to come in and give pricing for all their different products, and it all has to be negotiated and agreed to, so you're locked into pricing. So you don't have to bid it because the pricing is all locked in. But they do have different levels of turf, right? So they have a level, so maybe they have an A, B, and C level. So you're purchasing whichever level you want at that fixed rate.
That's what I was more concerned with.
Right.
Was there some type of locked-in price?
Yeah, it's all set. It's all set.
There are multiple manufacturers of turf.
They met with all the manufacturers that are in the co-op, and field turf goes to the top. Any more questions on it?
Again, just recapping kind of where we are in our key milestone updates here. So again, what Arcon's got to run through, design development documents for phase 1 provided earlier this month. Next real major milestone that we're tracking right now is the budget update of what they provided for phase 1 design development. Tracking next facilities meeting to be able to present that. And then talked about the bid period 1, phase 1 advertisement for bid in November. We'll be looking for Board of Education approval for those packages at December 12th meeting, I think it is. Those early bid packages that we just talked about. And then bid period 2 for phase 1, the major package for phase 1 advertised in January. For approval goes that in February. So we'll be in a several-week bid period for that. February 26th.
Tammy, or maybe it's Dorothy, what's the process for opening these? I know there's a public, that has to be done in public, and who's gonna be part of that team?
We can
Josh's
answer
office.
that. So yeah, there'll be, for each one of those bid periods, there'll be a bid opening. And we'll have probably Josh and Jess and Dorothy and our kind of team. We'll all be there, and, you know, all the bids will be sent directly to the districts, sealed envelopes. Sort them out, the school will open them, we'll read them all aloud, record them in front of all the bidders.
That was more for the public record. Just to
Yeah.
make sure we're doing it
Yeah,
by process.
yeah. It's all part of the Illinois State Procurement Code policy,
Thanks.
with the exception of the field turf, because the field turf goes through the co-op, so you don't have to go through that process, but all the other projects will be.
Any questions on schedule or phasing? Otherwise, we'll turn over to
Just
the
a question on the budget update, and I think there's gonna be a budget update of the entire project.
It'll be focused on phase one, the documents that our council presenting today.
So you're gonna, there'll be a comparison of,
It'll be a full picture of the entire project, but the update is more detailed for what they're showing us today.
Which is the work that they're working on. I mean, they're focusing more on the phase one work because they're trying to get that out to bid a lot faster. We'll be pricing up, you know, the 100% DD for phase two, and that's why it goes in February of 2020. That's when the plan is to make sure that we have the phase two of DD budgeted before we approve the bids for phase, or for bid period two.
But for bid period one, phase one, I think what you were asking is, are we gonna get an updated bid period? Because you're already in design of bid period two. And that design, as that evolves, obviously prices are gonna change, so are you updated that work at the same time?
Sorry. I think I lost you with all the bid period one and
Bid
two.
period, okay, so in other words, you're still developing and drawing up the buildings and the whole scope. You're actually bidding part of it.
Correct.
Bid's gonna be a hard number. The continued design is still soft. Are you updating the soft side of everything at the same time?
Yeah, based on these key milestone dates, we are.
But not for project update
We'll be,
November 15th.
we're more focused on the phase one because those drawings are at 100% DD level. Those are the ones that we can do a deep dive and come up with better numbers. The phase two work is lagging behind. I mean, they can't draw $100 million at one time. I mean, it has to be
As
phased.
expected, as
Right,
expected, I just
absolutely.
wanted to throw that in.
I think the biggest thing, the biggest difference between what we're talking about now and what we had originally planned is bid period one, phase one. We really didn't plan on that probably, I don't know, 2 months ago. We weren't thinking about that, but once we started talking to the co-op and figuring out we were gonna get the field turf, so we wanted to be in line for that. And then once we did more of a deep dive and figured out we've got all these air handlers and what that schedule was, we worked with Arcon and MSA and they agreed to pull that up. But that work is not going to, it's not driving the boat. The turfs are gonna cost what the turfs are gonna cost.
Yeah, so I.
The air handlers are what they are, so, I mean, we just felt comfortable pulling those up. We gotta get something on the street to make sure that we don't.
It's really about the update of the entire.
So if I may also add to what Lance is saying there, remember the bid period one essentially includes the air handlers because that's a real delivery issue, and also the sports fields primarily, which is what I want to co-op. You will have the DD update, the deadline for that is November 15th, the cost update. Yes, it's much more detailed for the phase one work because we're as expected, where we're at in the documents. But that impact of bid period one is essentially driven by some really critical dates. In fact, we can get the sports term through co-op. So it's a piece of it, but we have the November 15th update, but before the bid period two package is awarded, we have committed to the idea that we have a budget update before the
It may require us to have,
Okay.
it may require us to have some more alternates built into the phase 2 work to protect the budget.
So there's a project budget update for phase 2 in February. What documents are those going to be?
100% design development drawings for phase 2.
So I guess that's the question, when are they issued?
When are they what?
When will the 100% DD go? Or phase 2?
Yeah, that line item doesn't show on the calendar.
Right.
Probably in January. A month before that, I mean, they take either month to prepare.
It would have to be the beginning of June.
Yeah, so that's a good point. There should be a line.
It's on our overall schedule, it's just,
Okay, I just looking at this.
That's a good question.
anything else?
Okay. How are we doing on time, guys? Good?
I've got my clicker. Got it here. So, good morning, everyone. Just a comment to follow up on that. A lot of what we're working on for the design development for bid period 3, there's similar approaches to what we're doing for bid periods 1 and 2. So there won't be a lot of surprises to Pepper. They've been involved with the process to date. They understand what the big issues are. As we begin to fine tune those for design development for bid package for period 3, they're going to see stuff that's it's very similar to what we're doing in bid package 2. So hopefully that'll help. Give us a second to get our technology going here. Be a little extra time. Okay, so the first couple pages that we're going to show you are sort of an overview of where the projects are bid period 2 and bid period 3. So we're going to start with South, and then we'll talk about Central. We've got about 45 minutes allocated for this. We've got about 40 slides plus some panoramas and some exterior views and things like that. So we're going to kind of march through it fairly steadily. Toss out questions as you need. Some of them I may ask you to defer to the end, but feel free to jump in. Okay, so for bid period 1 and 2, the big things that are going to be happening at South, and here's an aerial of South. Here's the aerial at South. Main entry of the building is right here. Football field, parking lot. Behind the pool, it's right here, is the Buildings and Grounds building. We're going to put an addition onto the Buildings and Grounds building. We're also right next to the main entry, right below where we are today. On the main floor is the library. We're going to do a heavy renovation of the library, replan that entire space. And then on the lower level, in the middle wing of the building, we're going to replan the entire special education area of the building as well. Let's go to the next slide. Okay, in bid period 3, those are the items that we're going to get into a little bit later, so developing. We've got the expansion of the pool. That's a major addition. We've got the expansion of fine arts with an addition of a band room. Replanning of the music spaces right next to that. We're going to replan the serving and kitchen areas of the kitchen, the dining area spaces, create a covered outdoor space so that, much like Central, kids can go outside for lunch at times. It will be enclosed, fenced in, and screened, so the kids will be in that space.
Good morning, Hinsdale South. Today is the day, it is Friday.
Technically,
You made it. My name is Mikhail McCartney. And before we say the pledge, let's please observe a moment of silence. Now, if you would like to, please rise and join me in saying the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands.
Yeah, look at that.
That was pretty complicated.
Record of operation.
Now we know where the switch is, Justin. So the other piece that's going to be major in period 3 is the tech renovation. It's the old shop wing. There's some special education spaces down there. We're going to take that whole thing and renovate it into really a state-of-the-art technology. Okay, so if we just look at it from a floor plan standpoint, okay. Sorry, guys. On the lower level, special education, it really essentially gets this entire wing renovated. We'll talk in detail about that. Outside is the addition that's going to be put onto buildings and grounds. That's around the back of the pool area. In mid-period, that's period 2. In mid-period 3, we're going to go into some detail about the kitchen and serving line renovation, the renovation of the music suite where we're taking the old band room, moving choral into band, and building a band room and storage spaces and practice spaces. And then this is the outdoor space, we'll get into that. The tech wing, which is just to the south of the main gym, renovate here, and then the pool and expansion out here and renovation of locker rooms and office spaces and such there. That's the lower level. Okay, on the second floor, mid-period 2, is the library. Complete renovation of the library and expansion of the IT folks' spaces. Also on that same floor in mid-period 3, we're going to take the student services spaces, which are along the front of the building, in that wing, and we're going to take over this classroom wing here, expand them significantly. You can see the different, this amount of space versus the proposed space, and then turn the old spaces back into classrooms. And then on the second floor, the extension of the spectator seating for the pool, washrooms, elevator, those type of things there. We'll get into details in that in a second as well. And then in the basement, it's really what happens underneath that pool. Okay, so buildings and grounds. Nick, do you want to talk a little bit about buildings and grounds?
Yeah, real quick here. So we have the existing storage garage here. We're going to be putting an addition on to the east, 4 bays. And that addition will include a little bit of an office area here for a couple desks, work area, and a restroom. And the rest of the building here is for storage. We will be taking in this area right now currently is an outdoor storage yard. Since we're building in that area, we're going to move that here to the south. So to the south here will be an outdoor storage yard. This is all in anticipation of the work that's going to happen in mid-period 3 over in this area here for career tech and some special education classrooms. So this work is happening this summer as a precursor to move these areas out and create a way for future phases.
Basically, it's a match existing. We're not going to spend a lot of dollars trying to do anything super special at buildings and grounds. We want to basically extend the existing building, the same structure that it looks like. And then we've just developed a bunch of interior plans, interior elevations, three-dimensional renderings. We're going to get into that with you, but just so you see sort of the level of drawings that we're creating. Again, sections. All these things are part of that design development package, which is I'll definitely put some numbers to it. Okay, so special education. Currently, well, let me back up a second. During the master planning process, the special education area was one of those areas that really quickly rose to one of the highest priorities in both schools, and appropriately so. Currently, there's a lot of issues with the spaces that you have. At both schools, there are issues of confidentiality, the ability to meet with students in a private setting, ability to have IEP meetings without having everybody who walks down the hall hear everything that's going on, space for teachers and for students to work, and then the foundations program for the students who need a lot of extra help getting appropriate spaces for them. So the way we've looked at that is we took their existing spaces here and here, and then a washroom, accessible washroom, and we're going to replan those completely. But we're also going to expand down into these spaces here and be able to grow the spaces a little bit. So we'll have 2 foundations classrooms with a kitchen in between to teach those life skills, with washrooms and changing rooms in between. So those classrooms will be self-contained there and be able to use all those spaces without having what they currently have, which is people walking through their spaces to get to small meeting spaces. We've solved that problem. We've created essentially an office suite up here with the director, assistant director's offices, and then an open office area with a kitchenette and storage for folks, some work tables, and then a number of small spaces for psychologists and social workers and testing and all of that kind of stuff through here. Reception area, which means I can come as a parent and I can take a seat, but I don't go into the other spaces until someone comes and gets me in back there. We've also created meeting spaces for them which they did not have. There's a folding wall between what is essentially a 2/3 of a classroom, and now we've created 2 very large meeting spaces which they really don't have today, which can be shared with the deaf and hard of hearing folks, can be shared with really any other group in the school when it's not scheduled. As part of that expansion, we took spaces that were here that were dedicated to the deaf and hard of hearing program, and we relocated them over to other parts of that same floor with minimal work. Currently the bookstore is down there, and there's an open office here. So we've been able to capture other areas on the same floor to move deaf and hard of hearing, and still support those services, but expand our special education services as well. Let's go to the next slide. So just to give you an idea of some of the things that we're doing, we're going to show you a couple interior panorama views. Ignore the colors, because we haven't gotten to colors yet, but these are the kinds of tools that we're using to have conversations with the user groups. We talked last time about how many times we're going back and meeting with these different groups. When we do this, we'll bring in views like this, and if you slowly scroll down, and I don't want to dwell on the rendering here, but they start to allow those users to really understand what the space is going to look like. Where am I going to sit? What am I going to see when I sit there? At some point, we'll start putting the actual carpet materials in here, the ceiling materials, the wall paint. They'll really get an understanding of what the space is. So we have conversations about how do I bring natural light into an interior space. You saw in that previous view some clerestory windows. Those are the things that this modeling helps us to do. This happens to be that kitchenette that's between the 2 foundation rooms. The other was the offices for special ed. Let's keep moving back to okay, so the library. Library is also in bid package 2, or bid period 2. Current library sits in this area. Also had at one point the 3rd floor area as part of it, where we are today. They're right next door. There's, or actually 2 spaces over, there's a stair where you can come up from the library and be in that area. One of the things we're going to do, and we've got to this point through a lot of planning with these folks, they realized they didn't need that additional floor as part of the library, plus it was a supervision issue. So we're eliminating that stair, which sits right in here, and replanning the whole library space. Currently, there are a lot of office-type spaces sitting right here. That happens to be the front of the building, and the best view is out of the library. So we're trying to open that up by eliminating those, relocating them to the back of the building, the east side of the library, taking classroom spaces that were used for computer labs and other types of spaces that are here, here, and here, taking those out and moving them back along the east wall. These spaces are going to be very flexible. You're going to have folding walls between those rooms and the main part of the library and between each other. So we can organize these in different ways. We're going to set this up so that we can have board meetings right in this area. Open up all those walls and have projection screens and monitors and all the things you would have for board meeting. We've moved the circulation desk from out in the middle over next to the main wall. We've changed the entry from right off the end of the hallway to right off of the main entry, so it went around the corner. So now I come in off the main entry, I've got what's called a Genius Bar. It's a place where students are actually helping other students with their IT issues. We've got the IT space is expanded to accommodate all those folks, plus they will be out and about in the library, so those two programs are integrated very well. You come around the corner, there's a printer station, a circulation desk. Our stacks are now in the middle, separating different zones. So we've got a soft zone along the window, we've got a number of small zones along the east side, and then down along the south, where before we couldn't even see that end of the building because of all the spaces. Now we've got a number of small group spaces there. Every library we've gone to at the high school level, those type of spaces right here, and then the soft seating along here, those are the ones that get gobbled up right away when students come into the space. So let's show this one. Okay, let's scroll around to the right there. Okay, so this is a view from the south looking to the north, circulation desk. We're going to deal with or create some sort of signage or signifier with the ceiling here. We're looking back to those large group rooms that are going to open up and become a boardroom area there. As we scroll around to the right, that's that workroom back there. And then we've got the stacks off to the right here. As we keep going around, actually, let me pop into one of the other rooms. This is from the circulation desk, looking to the west. Those are the windows before that were all blocked by offices and such. We've created a zone with ceiling treatment and soft seating out there. And then if we scroll around to the left, you'll see those, keep going. From the circulation desk, I can look right into those spaces that are the large group spaces.
What's the intent of the large group space flowing out into the library?
Yeah, the library is
an
very
overflow for board meetings where people.
It's not just about, and actually with board meetings, it's really a secondary intent. The real intent of all these spaces in there, being flexible like that, is you run your library as an instructional piece. There's programs scheduled in there. So there's a number of groups that would be in the library at one time, but they're not all the same every day. So sometimes they're really big groups, sometimes they're small groups. So flexing those walls allows you to, scroll to the left there. Opening those walls allows us to have the flexibility of having a very large group with a book presentation by an author. It allows us to take that room and make it really small and have a group of 15 kids working on a project. So
I'm just seeing permanent type furniture there too, like the high top tables, the one with
this one.
Yeah, the one to the left. And that's kind of stuff that's not even movable.
So this one wouldn't necessarily be a permanent piece. It would be on casters. The one over to the right, we keep scrolling down there. That's the circulation desk, it will be fixed. And then there's another table immediately to the right here. That piece would be fixed. That's that Genius bar.
Because that's just got technology built into it.
Exactly.
Power,
Yeah,
USB
exactly.
ports.
Everything else in the library is going to be on casters to move around, even the door steps.
All right, thank you.
One of the big challenges in the library today is to make sure that we've got a number of spaces where we can drop down either have monitors or drop down projection screens so that we can have a number of groups happening at the same time. So again, just what are we doing next? The nice thing about the library is it's really a standalone project. We do it without impacting the rest of the school, do over summer. It's sort of one of those, it was an easy one to move into that first reading period and then mid period two. Okay, so let's look at the music suite, fine arts piece, and the cafeteria together. Cafeteria first. Currently, your kitchen and serving area is right here. We talked a lot about that at previous meetings, about how small it is, how outdated it is, all the electrical issues, mechanical issues, temperature issues, just put through time issues. Very, very undersized, doesn't support anyone in a wheelchair, ton of issues. We've also talked about how being right in the middle of the existing cafeteria, it starts to create supervision issues with a zone on the west and a zone on the east. And it's really tough to control that, for lack of a better word. So if anything bad's going to happen in the school, this is the spot it happens because it's really hard to see it from anyone monitoring the dining area. So what we've looked at, I guess it's over here, I'm sorry. So what we've looked at is taking that kitchen and serving area and moving it to this area and creating a much more modern kitchen serving area. It's going to be one of these where I can come in and then I can scatter, go to different lines. It helps my put-through time be much faster. We're going to cut your put-through time by about 30%. What that does for a student's day, when I go to lunch, it's supposed to be my decompression time. What you currently have is a lunch line that adds to my stress. Significantly adds to my stress. If we can help students decompress and not be stressed, and have more choices, then that's going to make their afternoon a whole lot better. This is a place where we want them to feel relaxed, so that's what the intent is. So I come in here, I'll go to a number of different stations through here, and then out through a number of checkpoints, a number of point of purchase points, and then have different areas within the dining that are zoned. I'll have the ability to close off an area so that after hours I could have a dance practice in here while I've got a cheerleading practice going on in here. Just to pick two examples. We're still going to have the satellite lunch line that sits over on the southwest corner. Very popular. We're going to take advantage of keeping that and then augment it with all the different choices that are in the service. One of the nice things that we've been able to do is at one point we looked at an addition right here, which would have expanded your dining. But getting inside of our conversations with the folks, we realized that we've actually, by moving that kitchen over, we have a more efficient dining area and still the ability to zone it, and we don't have to add that addition. So one of the value engineering pieces that we did is we were able to save some dollars by not having to build that. That was in the original master plan, it was in the original referendum dollars, but we're able to take those dollars and divert them somewhere else. We are creating an outdoor courtyard here. One of the reasons why your current outdoor courtyard is not used is because the sun hits it directly. It's a single-story building, your cafeteria. The sun at noon is coming across there and hitting that whole outdoor area very harshly. It's not a place where kids enjoy going. By covering a big chunk of it out here and putting up a nice wrought iron gate or fence along this side and a wall to screen for the parking, we're creating a pretty inviting outdoor space, and what we're hoping is that the students get to take advantage of an opportunity very similar to what they have at Central right now with the courtyard. Okay, so music. Here's the hallway for music. Currently, the end of the building is about right here. And that's where the choral room is, very undersized. The band room sits right here today, very undersized. So what we're doing is we're taking down the choral room. We're building a new appropriately sized band room, practice spaces and offices, storage, and then student storage. One of the things that we saw on the 12 or so tours that we took for fine arts is that it's really nice to have a space where students can come down the hallway. Essentially, it's a music suite. I can get my instruments, and then I can either go to my band, or I can go to my large ensemble spaces, or I can go over to the practice spaces, and not have to go into a band room or into a large ensemble space to get my instruments and then come back out to go to someplace else. So from a circulation standpoint, from a noise standpoint, we're going to make this a whole lot easier than what you currently have today. Another piece that's being added is this large ensemble space right over here. So essentially, you're going to have 3 large spaces, practice rooms, storage, and then student instrument storage. And those will also have access right out to that courtyard if we needed to as well. The kitchen backs up to band, and the kitchen spaces that are storage spaces back up to band. So we're not going to have a noise transfer issue between band and the cafeteria.
Jeff, what's the east to the south? No, sorry, the furthest south music piece.
Furthest south music
Down.
Oh, here. Yeah, it's a large space. It's going to be used for a number of things. They haven't programmed it for us yet. At one time, we looked at it being a dance room, realized it was going to be too small for a dance room. So now it's another music space, a large ensemble space. Okay, let's keep going. You're going to be quizzed on this, Sam. We've got a kitchen consultant on board. We've met a number of times. We're really starting to get inside of every piece of equipment, how the serving line works, where I come as a student to get my food, and how I exit into the area for dining. One of the nice things that has come out of this is this desire to have, think of it as a coffee shop or a go grab and go shop that's open all day long. Between classes, as a student, I could go grab a coffee. We're starting to treat high schools much more like a college campus, where students have choices and opportunities to go and get things throughout the day. Again, this is all about relieving their stress. So this is a space down here. It's going to be a place where they can go grab a quick snack, go grab a coffee, or go grab a drink of water. Open during the day, or as much as you can tolerate.
Jeff,
While the rest of the cafeteria is closed off. Yeah.
Jeff, I want to chime in here just for a second, that this level of detail on a DD set is going to help you get good pricing from Capital. I was pleased, just saying, I was pleased to see this level of detail.
We've been working for a while now with a food service consultant, Matano, out of Indianapolis. They now have an office. I think we've given them enough work that they now open an office right down the street from us. And they're really good. They are one of the food service people in the country that presents at the national conferences. They just presented Stevenson High School's serving line at the conference out in Anaheim that I was at last week. They're probably one of the more forward-thinking food service consultants. The big thing that they're talking about is healthy choices. So everything that we're doing in here is promoting healthy food choices with the students.
Question.
Go ahead.
Is there an operator of the food service?
Yeah, that was my point.
Have they reviewed it?
Yes.
We've been
No,
working.
that was really the question.
We have been working closely with West.
In fact, Quest is the one who, if you go back 6 years ago, they were the one who introduced us to Rotano.
I know that's changed, but
Just so you know, like any space that we're reviewing, anyone who touches it has been at the table at least 12 times, giving feedback back and forth with all of us. So we have had staff, the appropriate people for every area that's being touched. And student, yes.
that's a third party, so that's why I asked.
Yeah, but it is, and Quest is really good about, as they provide input, they understand that they've got a contract. They understand that the input that they give has to be as if it was a 30-year solution, and they may not be around. So they're very good at that. Tammy and I were tracking how many meetings we've had at one point with all the different user groups, and we got to 100 stuff. So we're over 100 meetings.
Are
This,
they integrating, I'm curious, are they integrating like Apple Pay or, like anything with an app for the kids if they want to pay, they just pay with?
We already have something that's called Pushcoin.
Okay.
yeah, it's really nice because it really allows every student to have.
And then the parent knows what they bought. Should they give it to them? As much as you want to know. Was it a donut or was it an apple?
The students that are getting support with that, they're not going to a special line. That doesn't happen in our schools anymore, or at least once in a month for renovation. So from the parking lot on the north, this is the elevation that you would see. Behind this wall is that outdoor dining area. This is the band room right here. And then those, that room where the storage, all the music instrument storage spaces, and the large ensemble room to the left. And it butts right up against the auditorium on the far left. If I'm looking from the west, you know where the car loop is, the drop off from front, where I exit, if you recall or you leave today, take a look, that hill sort of slopes down. There's a lot of trees, a lot of really nice landscaping right there. That's right in this area. So the students who are outside, covered for part of that, they're actually going to be looking out at a sloped green space. So it's actually going to be a pretty nice environment. Okay, let's talk about the pool a little bit. The existing pool comes to about right here. As we've talked a number of times, we're going to a 6-lane, 40-yard stretch pool. I won't go into the details of that. This is the addition for that. We're taking the vestibule, which sits right here, moving it out as part of the addition, creating an elevator to get you to the second floor for the spectators. Taking the existing locker rooms, office spaces, which are really, really compacted, really small, not really supportive, expanding those to the north, all the way up here. One of the things that we've changed since the original referendum package is at one time we were taking the tub and replacing it by moving it over to the right. As we got into that with the engineers, we understood that there's an awful lot of major system pipes underneath there, which really challenged us when it came to how to justify relocating all the systems for the building working when we do a pool. So what we've done is we've kept it centered where it currently is, and done the expansion to the north. And instead of the locker rooms and such expanding out to this line, we've given them more space up here and some storage spaces over here and then some things on the second floor. So essentially you're going to have a big addition right here. And it looks exactly like the fan addition. Okay, so second floor. Here's your existing spectator seating. We're going to take that and expand it to the north. Here's the lower level. The pool sits in here like this. So there's the line of the old building face. That's the addition piece. You get some windows on the north and northeast corner. On the upper level, something you currently don't have readily available to you are washrooms and the elevator. The elevator's going to come right up here. I come off the elevator lobby and I've got washrooms right there for all the spectators. So I no longer have to go downstairs, around the corner, down to the tiny little washrooms. We're going to take care of that too as well. And then in the basement, obviously there's support space underneath there, which will happen as well.
Is there any concern about congestion at the elevator and the entrance? If you've got people waiting for the elevator, then you've also got people entering at the same time, that's just kind of creating congestion?
There's stairs right there, and the way you get into that elevator is kind of around the corner. So
it's not right off the main.
I'd come in, I'd turn right, and then I'd go into the elevator. So it's kind of a slight little corridor. So we pulled it away a little bit. And as you know, 90% of the folks are going to take the stairs, but it's that, I'm bringing my mom. We got the elevators. We got 15 minutes?
You got about 15 minutes.
Okay, we're gonna take about 20. We're starting to develop the outside of this. This is bid package, or bid period 3. This is gonna continue to develop. You see Central's pool, it's a little bit more developed. This will start to look like that. So let's touch this one. By the way, these are getting compressed a little bit on the screen. Student services. It was here, it was here. You got your deans, your counselors, your psychologists, all those folks, social workers. They were in very congested areas with no privacy. By taking over this wing, you now have the ability to come in. I can go to the left into a reception area for deans. I can go to the right into a reception area for counselors. There's a ton of support spaces. The biggest thing that they want to do is the intervention piece. What they're lacking today is the ability to meet with students in private setting, one-on-one, or in small groups. We now have a number of conference room spaces for them in the social work areas back here. We're keeping the existing washroom, just renovating them. Let's go. Let's skip that, let's keep going. Okay, so the tech wing. This is the area that we're taking the buildings and grounds out of, moving that to the addition out here. We're keeping the Haven program, it's a special education program in this area. We're just giving them more appropriate spaces, 3 classrooms, plus a teaming area and offices, and then some small group spaces. And then the tech area is going to start to be opened up with a lot of glass along this wall, so that that program, or those programs are on display. We've got a makerspace in the middle, and around that makerspace, we've got 3 other spaces. The Woods Lab, we're essentially opening that up, moving spaces around, revamping it, taking spaces that are currently in the corner, moving them, storage and the paint booth and such, so that we can open that corner up with appropriate levels of glass so that students coming through these active corridors can see what's going on in there. The makerspace is going to have glass above it. This will be a CAD lab back here in the back, accessible to that makerspace. And then this is going to be the sewing, fashion, interior design space. So all of these 3 spaces are going to have a lot of similar, 4 spaces are going to have a lot of the similar finishes, the ability to be flexible. If your interior design program goes away at some point, I can have a STEM lab. Very, very flexible spaces. Okay, so now at Central, in bid period 2, the major pieces are the pool, which is out to the southwest, next to the field house, which is right here between the field house and the fields. We're going to have the buildings and grounds relocation. Here's the chiller plant, which is right here. We're going to renovate a piece of that and create a link between the building and the chiller plant and move everything that's currently sitting here out. The purpose of bringing buildings and grounds into the earliest phase and moving it is so that in the future, in that bid period 3, we can put the fine arts edition here and create an event entry. 95% of the people who visit the building, maybe closer to 100% of the people who visit the building after hours are currently coming essentially through the back of the house, the loading dock area, up that ramp next to the pool. That's going to be significantly different in the future. But to do that, you've got to move buildings and grounds over here. Okay, so bid period 3. We're going to get a band room addition, a lot of support spaces addition, and an event entry, and a plaza. Because that grade level is higher than the street level, we're going to build a plaza out here, which is essentially an after-hours place where kids can wait for rides, they can hang out. It's a place where I can have a performance during the year outdoors. It's going to start to give you something that is quite a bit different than the environment that you have today. And the first impression that people come to visit the district are oftentimes through sports or through performances. This will change what it looks like today. The other big piece that's happening in the bid period 3 is an addition in the courtyard. It's a 2-story addition. student support services on the first floor, special education on the second floor. So from a floor plan standpoint, bid period 2, buildings and grounds is renovation of that available space in the chiller plant and the connection, the pool right next to the field house. Bid period 3, this is the first floor again. Student services piece, student support services, we're moving them from spaces that are along the front of the building into this area. Again, expanding those significantly. Kitchen and serving renovation, and then adding the pool, or I'm sorry, the band room, event entry, sports spaces, and then that plaza.
What's happening with the old pool? I just for I'm just interested in that space. What is it going to become?
Today it'll stay as a pool, just not used. At some point down the road, beyond this,
Beyond our scope.
the scope.
The entire
The idea is
referendum.
that you've got the opportunity to turn it into another physical education space.
Okay, got it.
So, long-term goals are to move the wrestling room out of the upper level.
Okay.
And maybe move gymnastics out of the main level.
Excellent.
Both are in spaces that really don't serve them very well. Both are in spaces that you have to travel through the whole building to get to, and put them out there. And then during the day, that can be used as another PD space, which you're
Perfect.
limited on.
Thank you.
Sure. Okay, so second floor, that's the upper level of the pool. We'll get to that. You get, right here is the library existing. We're going to renovate the library, give it some more spaces and some more zones, and then we're going to add with that addition. Right next to it, special education suite that's got a number of classrooms, IEP meeting rooms, dedicated washrooms, and then the office spaces. Currently, your special education spaces are in these spaces right here, and those 2 classrooms there. We're expanding it significantly. Okay. And in the basement level, we're now going to have an access with an elevator and a stair down to that fitness room, so students don't have to go through the back of the house, the wood shop, the metals area, the storage rooms to get over to fitness. They can come down through that new entry that we're building. And then the tech wing, downstairs where your career tech education spaces are, your photo lab, we're going to renovate all of that and expand it with some additional spaces down there. Okay, so the pool. Again, it's a 10-lane, 40-yard stretch. That's the pool itself. We've had a number of meetings with those folks. We've got another meeting coming up where we're going to really start to talk about everything from scoreboards to starting blocks to all that kind of stuff. Locker room areas, office areas, spaces are here, storage. We've got access to the deck off of a lobby. The lobby is set up so that I could have spectators come into the lobby and go right up the stairs to the spectator area, which is right above here. And I could lock off the rest of the building right here. Likewise, I could lock the pool off after hours if I needed to, not that you'll ever have that pool not in use. And then people using the soccer fields and such can come into the building here. During the day, PE, kids from the soccer fields and other spaces out here, they don't have to go through the pool lobby to get into the building. They can walk underneath this canopy, go in through this entry, and go up the ramp that's to the field house here. Right now, they're currently coming out a little door over here, going outside, underneath the ridge, through here, coming up the stairs. It's all outside. So we're going to get them inside now. Let's go, 2 things about that. We've got a security vestibule right here that can handle students coming in or visitors coming there. We also have one here in the front to check people back. Second floor, we've got the spectator seating with accessible ADA seating right here. We've got washrooms immediately off of the spectator seating. We've got a concessions area right here. The ability to sort of stand and wait in line for my hot dog, but I can still be part of what my kid's doing in the pool. Elevator, and then the stairs coming up. So this is a 2-story lobby right here. Coming up those stairs, getting into the spectator seat. And then that's the basement with the support spaces. So all the support systems for the pool will be in the basement, other than the air handling stuff, which will be in the room. Yeah, so we can. So from an interior standpoint, we're starting to develop these. One of the reasons that these are a little further along than the phase or the mid-period 3 stuffs is because this piece wants to be in mid-period 2. We talked about last time how we wanted to move stuff around to get it all balanced. You can see we're starting to look at some window treatments, how to screen that.
What is that divider gonna do?
That's the bulkhead. That allows you to move that bulkhead so you can do different things. I can have diving, water polo, physical education. It gives you the flexibility with that long 40-yard stretch to be a number of different things.
So that's movable?
It's movable.
So south can be the same thing.
Exactly. So we're starting to get into this. We're having another meeting a week or so here where we're really getting into scoreboards and all that kind of stuff. And then from the lobby standpoint, if I come in that lobby as a spectator, and I apologize, these panoramas tend to get a little stretched. That's the stair going up. We're working on the lighting. It's not really that narrow. Even almost there's about 10 feet here, so it feels like there's about 3 feet, but it's about 10 feet. So we're starting to develop this and get materials and finishes in. And that's just from the other area. We've got an area in the lobby where I could actually bring my team outside and have a meeting. Or I can come out here with my little one who's not doing too well in the noise, and I can watch my other sibling, or his sibling, on the screen right there. So it's going to be extremely
I am.
That's right, Marty took an extra minute on this. Okay, so we're starting to develop the outside. Again, we're going to try and keep it compatible, feel like it's part of the building as the whole building is a campus. So you're going to see a lot of brick and some stone that is very similar to what you have in the main entries of the building. We're looking at how to get a lot of natural light in there, but how to screen it in such a way that you're not getting the direct light onto the pool. Let's go to the next one. Takes a second. Sorry. This is that covered entry. So if I come from what is currently the bus drop-off around the building along the north face, I can come in as a spectator here, or as a student, I can keep on going underneath the canopy into that other entry down there. This is actually, and then this is what if I'm down in the bus drop-off, if I'm walking along the west side of the pool, this is what I would see. Okay, buildings and grounds. One of the things that we've done is we've taken, as I mentioned, buildings and grounds out of this area. We've moved it down into the existing chiller plant, but we've made a connection here. So it's a covered connection, enclosed, so that as I get deliveries, I can still take them into the building on grade and not have to worry about being outside in inclement weather. That was really important as we talked to the folks. We didn't want to have to come out, go down a ramp, go back up a ramp outside, all that. In the referendum, we had a large two-story addition, about 3,000 square feet right here. As we got into understanding this facility and what their needs were, we were able to reduce that significantly. So some of the things that we've been able to do, we've been able to find some wins, happened with buildings and grounds because we were able to capture some space that was available to us in that building. Because we're blocking off that route, a lot of you probably have parked over this parking lot going to a football game by cutting through. Well, you can't do that now. So what we've done is we're creating a paved route here along the side of the baseball field, which connects up with the route behind the service lane between the field house and the main building. And that's going to allow us to continue to get deliveries to the wood shop or the tech lab. It's going to allow us to get carts back to the field house. It's going to allow a fire truck to do its thing as we need to. So we need to accommodate that. But what that does is we start to lose some parking over here. So to accommodate that, we're going to add a double lane right at the end of the existing parking. We're going to put up a fence, a tall fence for baseball to protect those cars right at the parking lot. It's going to be really tall. I won't go into a lot of detail, but just suffice it to say that we've accommodated all of the office space needs and all the storage needs within that show. Let's keep going. Just from an exterior standpoint, really match existing. Keep going with this. Okay, two things. Cafeteria, the serving line and kitchen area. We're going to completely redo that serving and kitchen area. All the same issues you have at South, you have at Central. We're going to fix that. Right, this one we're not moving. This one we're able to keep in the same footprint. Off of the north side of that kitchen area or dining area, there's the outdoor breezeway here. So if you've ever been here during the day, you'll see a lot of kids cutting through the outside to go over outside to get from this point of the building into that point of the building. Cafeterias and the far remote parts of the building. During the master planning process, one of the things that goes to the top is that we need to provide an indoor easy route to reduce travel times from the remote parts of the building to the cafeteria area and to the gym areas. So what we've created, you'll see on the second floor, is a stair through here, which we've widened to give us a space for some terraced landings for small group spaces and just hangout space. On the first floor, this is all the student support services. Look at the area of that, compare it to this, and you'll see that we've been able to help them significantly with their issues of confidentiality and meeting space. We've also done some renovations to the foundations program here and provided a number of conference room spaces. This happens to be in that community area where you've got the curved wall. We're going to reproduce all of those spaces in ways that are a little more practical. Okay. Kitchen stuffs, past that. Second floor. The existing library entry is right here. And the library is this. We're going to replan it, much like we were doing at South, with a number of small team areas, big flexible areas with folding walls, a lot of different furniture stuffs. We're going to create a room up here, which is for the activities office, which is right off the cafeteria. And then we're going to take this existing exterior wall and we're going to open it up and put a lot of glass in there between the library and this addition. So this is the special education addition. This is that circulation stair, which gets you down to the cafeteria area that I just mentioned. So now if I'm in that two-story space, which is here, I'm going to be able to look up into that library. The library is now going to be very much on display. One of the things that we know about your building is one of the most congested, most stressful places is that cafeteria at lunchtime. I've got photos of that space where kids are literally right on top of each other. That open area there at the bottom of those stairs will be the space that I like to describe as a counselor's commons. It's the place where my son, who just freaks out with all that noise, can go with some buddies and have a quiet lunch. It's the place where I, as a social worker right next door here, I can come out and have a buddy lunch with some kids and work on some social issues and things. It's a place where I, as a student, can come and hang out with a plug in my laptop or my iPad. So there's a lot of flexibility that we get here. A lot different than what you have at a college campus where the kids have the ability to go with their cars. Excuse me. This gives a space where kids can sort of control their own time and their flexibility within the building. Because we have to put that circulation anyway, just simply widening a little bit and creating some terraces will be able to really, really help that congested cafeteria. It's one of the benefits that came out of some of the conversations we had. That's the library on top. Okay, so now the Fine Arts Edition. John looks out his back door every day and sees that back of house stuff. Now he's gonna see a little bit nicer terrace with a glass wall here. I can come in for the event entry through a security vestibule and come into the building for anything from basketball to field house to whatever I need. But we created a music suite now, which is really, with doors, it's not really open to all students passing through. It's sort of enclosed. So if I come down the hallway, go through these doors, now I've got storage, much like you saw at South for all my equipment. I've got a number of existing music spaces, but I've taken the old band room and made it a legitimate sized band room over here with a lot of practice rooms and some offices. And this corridor, which is now the event entry, after hours event entry, gives me access down to that lower level, that fitness room, which we didn't have before. And the plaza out here is that elevated plaza, which is really flexible. Yeah.
Will that entryway still be used, can be used in the morning for kids to?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. That parking lot that's just to.
Just be a little safer, no more garbage dumpsters.
Okay, exactly.
I don't have to.
So you can expand on that more than just that, thank you.
Instead of coming in the back door, they're gonna come around in the front of the office, up the stairs.
How does then the students or anyone get to the auditorium or to the auditorium or from school?
Okay, so from school, currently, if I'm gonna have an all-school event, right, I'm gonna have everybody, all couple thousand kids, come right down this really narrow 8-foot corridor, continue down that narrow 8-foot corridor, come down this corridor, which looks like it's very dated, and I'm coming in right here. That's how it is today. In the future, we'll have the ability to come down and then split up. I can bring kids in this way, I can take kids down this way and come in here, so I've helped that somewhat. After hours events, I can spill out, instead of being right in the lobby here, I can spill out into this lobby as well. So we've sort of helped by having multiple paths to get kids there. Yet at the same time, I can close those doors and have that music noise be isolated. So we're starting to look at some of the exterior views and how to develop that in that plaza up there. Again, keeping with similar materials for the existing building. Interior-wise, this is from, this is looking toward the entries from the corridor. This is standing just inside the entry, looking to the left. We're going to have an art gallery space, a small gallery space that allows you to put a lot of things on display. So from a trophy case standpoint and from a display standpoint, a lot of that's being developed in that food package screen. The tech wing. There's a number of spaces down here. Currently, I come down the corridor, I jog here, I come this way, I come at an angle, I come back here, and I come up back over these stairs. So it's really a convoluted route through there. Spaces are chopped up. We're going to gut all that, renovate it, create that makerspace surrounded by a number of different labs, CAD lab, materials lab, another lab, create a couple of other spaces here that support that. But really, it's now going to be a much different environment. A lot of this will have glass on it, so it'll be on display. We're going to try and make that space that kids can really be excited about. I think that might be our last slide.
Nick, can you swap back to the other presentation and you're up next for zoning? Tammy, everybody, I hope you don't mind if we hold discussion because we have just a couple of the OAC discussion items are next. There are just a couple. I want to make sure that anybody who has to leave gets to hear the whole gist of it. So while Nick is also doing the magic over there, he's actually up next to give you the update on where we're at on zoning. Not zoning, but your review that's required for Hinsdale and Darien.
This is my finished record. So we have an extra minute for
Glenn, it's Marty. Well, they're trying to figure that out. Have you looked into the constructability of the two-story building in the courtyard? Are we like a really big crane lifting another crane into the courtyard in order to build the building and then looking the crane back out?
It's gonna be a webcam today, so I know.
So before they answer that, one of the things that was done a few years back is they put that library addition piece in the courtyard. So when they did that, they left a path to get there. There's tall doors, open doors between the wing. So if I come in north of the field house, I can come down the corridor between the two wings, the science wing and the trailer classroom wing, and cut through there. So there is accessibility, and I'll let you take it from there because it's not that simple.
There's a lot of material.
Yeah, building in a courtyard is always a challenge, and, it's a combination of things. So maybe lifting over the building during the summer when there's no students around, trying to get as much of the structure and shell down as possible, and then using that, alternate entrance and egress while school's in session. Yeah.
That's challenging, but one of the bigger challenging parts of that courtyard is there's sanitary lines that are in there like 15 feet deep. We're actually looking at directional boring and water encasing under the basement of the building instead of going, it's not drawing out. Otherwise, we'd have to follow that same path to get the sanitary piping out there. The path that we actually use to get into that courtyard.
Some of that utility pre-work will be 2020 to get the underground utilities situated so that in 21, when that courtyard addition starts, we're not having to deal with relocating the utilities at the same time, so that we're building from June 1st, 2021, get that structure and shell as much as we can, and work through the rest.
That's one of the things we're doing after this meeting, we're going to our consultants office and look at that sanitary courtyard, come up with a game plan on how to figure out what the most cost-effective way. The courtyard is a challenge, the sanitary is more of a challenge. One of the reasons, that's one of the reasons we didn't even do that. We couldn't do it. Phase one, it was too much.
Well, there's complexities. There's complexities in a number of those pieces. The fine arts piece.
I was just gonna. The fine arts, right, is complicated too. We've got gas running through there. We're going to rerun the gas before we start that addition. So all that was hammered out when we were doing our initial suggestions. That's why the projects we're doing this summer are the ones that don't require any upfront work.
Go a little more straightforward investigations.
Yeah.
Okay, back to the show, I hope.
Okay, zoning update. I'll be brief, even though Hinsdale, the process will not be brief. So, City of Darien, here at South, it's going to be a pretty, we anticipate smooth sailing. We've already have met, reviewed the project with the city, had initial conversations. No major issues are anticipated, no major processes or meetings. We'll submit our plans to get a letter of review from the municipality. Central, with the Village of Hinsdale, is a different case. We have to go through their zoning board of appeals for a few variances for the project. We are going to phase our submission as to not hold up work for this summer. So we're going to submit first here in November for summer of 2020 work. A few of the variances that we're going to be seeking are related to parking and landscape requirements within the parking lot and the stadium bleachers. Currently, the stadium bleachers are within a required setback, so we're going to have to see the variance for that. Full application package will be due on the 11th with the zoning board of appeals. We'll have a pre-hearing on the 20th. District has some requirements to submit notification letters to neighboring properties, and a couple ZBA meetings. This is the process if everything goes smoothly. So if we need to go back and make any revisions, it will further complicate.
May I ask a quick question on that? With relationship to the inane approval process of Hinsdale, are any of the, is the parking or the landscape critical in a timing perspective? All I'm saying is that if we could identify things that the community is going to come out and have interest in, get that first, because somebody can get fixated on a tree in the wrong place, you guys are delayed for months.
Right, and the parking's actually critical. That was brought up in the meeting with the village, that there's been a lot of complaints about not enough parking.
Right.
We are landlocked, we have a limited amount, and based on current zoning ordinances, we are under the requirement already. With the fine arts and buildings and grounds, moving that loading dock, we are affecting parking, that's why we have to get a variance on it. But we're adding that parking lot to the east.
But those are coming first, in other words. That's on the critical path. That's the
That's
beginning.
critical path.
Excellent.
Now, where the bleachers are scheduled for bid period 3, we anticipate those will be a hotly debated topic. But we wanted to pull that out of this submission, so bleachers that aren't going to be installed until after 2021
Okay.
don't hold up summer.
Thank you very much.
Concurrently with the ZBA, we can submit for the plan and site plan and exterior appearance review, which there's an additional 5 meetings again, if everything goes well. So we're going to get to know the village of Hinsdale instantly.
But not your wife. But not your
Yeah,
wife.
my wife, to her chagrin. Any other questions on zoning?
All right, so we had a couple of, these are all part of the OAC, the owner architect contractor, oops, that's right. These are the OAC discussion items to continue, and that's the owner architect and contractor discussion. So one of the things that has come up, this has to do with accommodation for future air conditioning for some of the priority spaces. The air handler and rooftop unit replacements that were included as part of the referendum were life safety issues. And the life safety budget included a like-for-like replacement, which would not include an air conditioning system. So what we went through a lot of discussions on this and a lot of possibilities, iterations of what the OAC discussion with the owner in there as well, of course. What we are recommending is that the new air handlers that are part of the referendum that are serving high priority areas that may be consideration for future air conditioning, that the housing for those air handlers is going to be large enough to accommodate a cooling coil in the future. That will also give us the possibility or the flexibility that it may be off of your chilled water plant, but that would include, in the future, again, that would include expanding your chiller plant, expanding your cooling towers and so forth. That is one option. Or it could be a DX, a direct expansion coil in there that would have a local compressor and condenser. So it gives you the flexibility in the future at minimal additional cost now, just buying a box big enough for a future coil. So anyway, let's just continue. I think there's just one other follow-up regarding the boilers. And as we discussed at the meeting last month, the new boilers at South are to be hot water boilers. Bill, you had asked the question about using a steam boiler for a heat exchanger for domestic hot water, but reiterating, we did have that follow-up discussion with the engineer, with MSA on the design team. And if we went, he does not recommend that route, although it's done, but he doesn't recommend that route because it would require that steam heating boiler to run off-season. So you would have to run a boiler in May or June for the sake of your domestic hot water.
Actually, my question was hot water boiler, not steam boiler.
So a hot water boiler, he also did not, he recommended the standalone domestic hot water heat. So that's the recommendation of the engineer. Another thing that was questioned, at the 15% improved efficiency, the gas cost savings would be approximately $12,000 a year. So if if you do the math and realize, well, we were talking about an additional $500,000 for the piping and so forth, that would give you a long payback period. But that would have to assume that your existing 50-year-old pipes last another 30 or 40 years, which is unlikely. So that's just a follow-up regarding the boilers. Let's get it once more. And now this is, you guys, about the portal access. And I think that's our last time.
Just going to touch on this one quickly. Hopefully everybody received an email to their Hinsdale email account that should have allowed them access to the portal. So really not going to run through any specifics there. There's really just a few items there. We've talked on the phasing. There's a list of everything I think that we saw earlier that's up there along with the schedule and then some of the design documents as well. So really that stuff in there should be pretty self-explanatory unless there's anything we wanted to hit on otherwise.
There was one slide we saw last meeting, it's like a contract schedule. I didn't see anything
There is a schedule in there.
there. And it's in this
On
portal.
the portal, yep. Yeah, under
I
the
will
schedule
look at
button.
it. I will look at it.
So we actually have, on the phasing side, on the public side, we have the Google Earth overlays with some of the phasing that shows, and I've got some color updates to make on that one yet, but that's there, but under the admin side, that bar chart schedule is there.
All right.
So let us know if you have questions on any of that stuff.
I think the only thing is if anyone did not get their login, let me know.
Yes.
And we'll make sure that we double check and get the email we sent back out to you.
From there?
It's there, I just checked.
Okay, all right.
I think that's it. Yep.
Are there action items required for us today?
For the minutes, Deb needs to take roll call again for
But
special.
besides that, from the information, you're not looking for decisions or anything today from us or input necessarily?
I don't think so. The only thing
Okay.
that we had talked about was the commission authority that we take it to the board, but we're not, I don't think we're looking for an action item.
Okay.
You touch on the stormwater projects for the two campuses. I might have missed it, but I don't remember discussion. You obviously you'll be putting the pool addition, where there's a dry bed detention area at Central. You're adding pavement. You're adding impervious surface at South. So I was kind of curious what the approach so far has been with civil and stormwater.
We've met in tandem. When we met with the zoning departments, we also met with the engineering department. There's not much at South in regards to stormwater detention requirements. At Central, there's quite a bit. And we will be submitting, there's several authorities having jurisdiction here at Central, including Flag Creek, Village, DuPage County. So we're going to be starting that process probably in December, getting those submittals in through January.
Is the approach at Central going underground with containers, or?
Yeah, there's going to be one just adjacent to the pool, another one.
Buildings and grounds as a minimum. So there's two locations, Steve, at Central that'll have underground retention, and then there is one at South on the north parking lot, so that there's underground retention to make up for that surface area.
Plus, I thought at South, we're right on the cusp of not having to be required to have any, right?
That's
Depending
correct.
on our square footage of our buildings and the area, is really great. We're right on the cusp of not needing anything at South.
But that brings up a good point, that we have to track that, because now it's cumulative. So if any future projects down the line in South, there's the potential that it will require that, because we're getting to that threshold. But for this project, what we're doing now, our preliminary calculations state that we're okay.
Thank you.
Deb, did you want to take roll quickly for special event?
Member Turk.
Here.
Member Admire.
Here.
Member Cashman.
Here.
Member Carpenter. Member Cassell. Member Edwards. Member Alcock.
Here.
Member Lundgren.
Here.
Member Lyons?
Here.
Member Ochoa?
Here.
Member Orput?
Here.
Member Clancy?
Here. I believe there was the approval of the minutes.
Yeah, we can take that action item. I did promise them there would be another audience communication. So do we have a motion to approve the special committee and facilities committee meeting minutes of September 20th of 2019? Motion by Cashman, do we have a second, Marty? Second. Second by Mr. Turk. Discussion?
Here you go. Share your concern.
No, that was regarding the voting.
We're going to have an opportunity to talk as both public and committee members in a second. I just want to make sure we close the business.
Okay, no, I'm saying I did have a comment on this.
We have a comment in minutes, no.
I sent an email to everybody.
I'm not getting it.
Okay, my comment was that the boilers were, we agreed at the last meeting, but I was like, subject to review using domestic water. Saying, the engineer is saying, do not do it, even though it said steam up there. My comment was hot water boiler.
Right. When I talked to the engineer, he said whether it's steam or hot water, those are 6 million BTU boilers, and to run those over the summer, you're gonna use more energy to run those boilers just to heat hot water for your sake.
You don't run them at full capacity. As long as somebody's made that evaluation.
Yeah, he did.
And the economies are fine, okay, but you don't run the boilers at full capacity when you run hot water. Heat exchange problem.
Right.
Okay.
The other thing that was the case too is typically your summers is when you're going to do your maintenance on your boilers. So you don't want to have your boilers operational just to heat your house. We did inquire, and that's what we did.
Any other discussion on the minutes? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, the ayes have it, motion carries. Any public comment? Anyone wishing to address? Linda?
Hi, thank you for your patience. Since I'm looking at my talking points, I will be brief. First of all, since not everyone was here at the start of the meeting, I'd like to repeat that I'm very concerned that the larger pool at Central remains politically inflammatory, and it's not being sufficiently communicated to the public as a one-district asset. It will serve the entire district at strategic times. The Hinsdalean article concerned me in this respect. I don't know whether Pam didn't hear it or we didn't say it, but it didn't come through clearly to me. The community swims are going to be for everyone. That yes, it serves Central on a daily basis, but there are many times that the pool can serve the entire District 86. And no, that will not persuade the most hardcore referendum opponents, I get that, but there are many open-minded people who would hear that reasoning. Next, when the Hinsdale South kids come to Central to swim, when their pool's out of commission, let us plan ahead, you guys, to make that an awesome one-district experience. That truly brings the district together. This is easy to do with proper advanced planning. Next, it's a losing battle, but this entire presentation was of such awesome quality, and all the news is so good, that if this were on video for the people who can't be here, it would be an asset. You could link it to your resume, it's so good. So why aren't we...
It's being recorded right now.
Oh,
It's
wonderful.
just not live.
Hi, I was wrong. You know what? I love to be proved wrong when I've been too pessimistic. I'm starting with passing this referendum. I'm so happy, believe me, happy to be wrong. Okay, but we could probably have a little better sound, you guys, because remember, some senior citizens are going to be coming to the meetings. Dick Kimmer's out of town, but he would have found a lot of this very hard to hear. At least you can be visible, more visible and audible, because the content is fantastic. I mean, it's not like you wouldn't want to put this out to the world. I assume that all these slides will be up on the district website.
We always put the facility slides on the website after the board meeting. They become public.
They're fantastic. I'm so excited
The
about all.
ARC-on ones, I'm talking about the actual PowerPoint slide, but the detailed design drawings, is, for security reasons, will not be on the work side. It'll be on the portal side for the committee members, but the actual drawings and locations of certain things in the buildings, that's a security issue. So that part, there will eventually be renderings and things, and those like panoramic pictures, but the actual Archon presentations, which is why they were separate, will not be on the public side.
Understand completely, and maybe they could be linked with the Monday weekly
Yeah.
newsletter, which I didn't get yet, so forward it to me, please. I think I'm back on the mailing list. Okay, next, all those wonderful fine art spaces are useless without teachers. There are sectional parapros, our accompanist. Lesson learned, I hope, last spring, don't ever mess with music. There is no window of opportunity to keep that under the radar. Just don't do it. Remember, we don't want empty music spaces because we need our parapros rehearsing the kids. Okay, finally, student interns could work with this process. That's already been opened up. But for academic credit, it could be coordinated with the SERV program and with our AP, original scientific research. There could be some coordination there. Dorothy, I'm sorry.
Yes, I just wanted to mention to the committee that we have gone through the process with Carrie back there, and we have a student intern that's going to help with doing some furniture inventory and so forth. I met with Nate it was Wednesday, and he's going to start doing some work with us next week. A little what we call, if these guys call a micro internship, to get them, have a student involved in the process.
And speaking of, we should probably do the same thing for a student from Central and South on the architecture side. I'm sure you've got architecture students, so we're happy to have a student from each campus during the course of the summer to probably work on this project.
Well, likewise, we've been invited into the interior design course here to do some presentations and work with students as well. So we're trying to increase those students.
That is fantastic. Perhaps it could be coordinated with our existing academic program. Thank you.
Yeah, that's
Other public comment? Committee members' comments?
Sir. So the piping is being changed, and I know we commented last meeting that the existing insulation is probably asbestos, maybe others. Is that part of their responsibility, or is that somebody else's responsibility? Asbestos or other?
I'm happy to answer that, but I'm going to also look at Jess to chime in. So you do have a separate consultant that does all of your asbestos testing. There was already testing in these target areas done to identify likely candidates. But once we have the demo drawings completed, those are also issued to the asbestos consultant for them to do additional testing, put together a project plan to do any abatement that is required. And then also these guys know that if they encounter anything during the construction that looks suspicious, they raise the red flag and we bring the guy back in to test it and abate if needed. But that is handled under a separate contract. It is in the budget for the referendum.
I know Archon has been in touch with United Analytical Services, is our environmental services contractor. So we're getting those inspection reports back, and then for some of the areas like classrooms that we upgrading, the pilot classrooms, there's a lot of flooring. It's possible that we abate over spring break so it doesn't hinder the schedule of summer construction.
I guess the issue of the boilers and the piping, is that next summer? So that abatement needs to be done
Yes.
prior to that. I think we could do that in school.
And I think that's what Jess was saying, trying to get a jump on some of that stuff, maybe do it over spring break.
So it would be the classrooms that have the floor.
Yeah,
Define it
piping
with
we
this,
have to.
right?
All right, but that is operational budget, or is that?
There's money allocated in the referendum for abatement work, it should come up.
Correct.
But we have a regular working relationship as we go through some projects. We did a project this summer that we repeated.
And then is kitchen equipment part of that? Okay, and furniture? We just don't know about furniture.
Yes, Scott can put together some.
So For some of the spaces, yes. The classrooms, no. The classrooms is operational knowledge.
So like all that library stuff.
Yeah. Library, CTE, SPED, student services, those kind of areas. Yes, the
Yes.
classroom spaces are not.
Yes, it's part of the.
Part of the record.
Part of the construction.
Yeah, we have an entire plan person who's been working closely with the end user groups, talking about furniture needs and things.
So fixed and not fixed.
Fixed will be casework, design, built-in architectural, loose, movable furniture, yeah, both.
Fixed casework would be handled by us. The loose furniture would probably just be a direct purchase
Right.
from the district to the furniture supplier.
And then,
The same thing.
that one drawing of the very, the design is great. The wide stairs and things and such. But it seems like an accessibility challenge.
Elevator.
Big.
Well, there's an elevator right next to it. You're talking about a.
So can an accessible student still take that same shortcut? that
Sure.
the other
The
students
elevator.
have?
They can, because right at the base of the stairs, there's an elevator, which takes you right up to the top of the stair. So you can't physically walk up the stair. just-
No, I know that. Yeah, I understand.
So they can take the elevator to take the same route.
I just thought maybe that could be a ramp instead of a stair.
It would be a very, very long ramp.
All right, so there is an elevator.
Yes.
I'd just like to thank everybody. I think the presentation was very good, and I really appreciate the level of coordination and detail that you guys are doing. And I also wanted to just thank you because I do believe that, you know, I see our role as being the interface between the community. And you raise a very good point that it is a community pool, both both central and south, so I think that's important. And then all I would offer is that if you need anything from a community go-between, especially with zoning, to have somebody from the neighborhood there to support why the parking is the way it is, I ask that you reach out to the committee members both at South and Central, because I see that as our biggest role, is to figure out how we facilitate the success of this project, not necessarily to sit and pick apart, I don't like this entry sequence, and so I would just put that out.
I think any community support, and especially the Hinsdale board meetings, would be so appropriate, so well received.
But I would say then reach out to either me or somebody on the committee prior to that, so we can set an agenda of what you're trying to accomplish, so we can rally the troops. If going in, if you've ever been to one of those meetings, going in blank is not something you want to do. You want to actually have it. Okay, that's it. Thank you very much.
And as a segue, to be fully transparent, I'm the chair of the Plan Commission of Hinsdale.
Just so you know that.
I don't know, is that good thing or?
You'll find out. But I was curious, but I didn't see it on the agenda initially, and it was good to see that you brought it up as far as the schedule goes. But,
So, similar to the neighbor, subcommission.
We know, yes, we know.
So it might be good to share plans in advance, and after talk to neighbors, so the input before you get to the public hearing.
Greg's comment is really well stated about support. You never know at these plan commission meetings, CBA, and attendance, it's a different group. People need to, if people are in support of something, need to be there. It makes a big difference. If people are opposed, they need to be there. And it really makes a difference for these committees. These commissions are all recommendations to the board, but having people come out and support. There was actually a lot of support for this referendum, and when these go through the village, it'd be important for the school district to reach out to the community and try to generate support and have people show up.
Any further discussion? We have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Talk, the ayes have it, motion carries. Thank you all. Next meeting is November 15th.